I've become so cynical about Black actors. I realize this. When I watch a commercial, my whole mentality has shifted. I watch a commercial, or let me give you this. In the 90s, when I used to watch a commercial and I'd see a Black person, or watch a movie, I see a Black person, I just thought, this person is talented. Give me Denzel Washington. He is quite literally my favorite actor ever. I love Denzel Washington. Give me Morgan Freeman. There's no person that I want more to narrate my funeral. Morgan Freeman. Unbelievable talent. That's what I always thought growing up. They deserve to be there because they're talented, not because of the color of their skin. Now, when I see a Black person on the screen, I think, okay, that was the DEI. That was diversity, equity, inclusion. They probably were just given this role. Now they got to put one gay person, one trans person, one Black person, one Hispanic person, just to mark themselves safe from being a racist. I no longer believe that they're there because they deserve to be there. I didn't do that to me. I didn't have this mentality. This is what's happened now.
Normally people have the ability to critically think. Believing the system blinds the believer. First, let's notice how she is cynical of Black actors because of a new standard of inclusion. If her ability to critically think wasn't clouded, she might think, wow, there are talented people out there who wouldn't ordinarily have gotten a role, can now get the opportunity. She filters that through her belief in white supremacy, and it spits back unqualified minorities getting something qualified white people should be entitled to. We shouldn't let people who support these talking points convince us that they don't believe in entitlements, because they do. And by the way, she can't believe all non-Black actors got their opportunity because they're extremely talented every single time. She's pretending like before this standard of inclusion came about, every other actor and actress received their role because they earned it, which isn't the case. We know that Hollywood nepotism is a thing, but that doesn't seem to bother her as much as the Black actors. The fact of the matter is, in a system of white supremacy, it will be harder for a Black person to achieve the same type of success afforded to a white person, even if the Black person is more talented. Well, here, let Chris Rock explain it.
Okay. I live in a place called Alpine, New Jersey. I live in Alpine, New Jersey, right? My house cost millions of dollars. Don't hate the player, hate the game. In my neighborhood, there are 4 Black people. Hundreds of houses, 4 Black people. Who are these Black people? Well, it's me, Mary J. Blige, Jay-Z, and Eddie Murphy. Only Black people in the whole neighborhood. So let's break it down. Me, I'm a decent comedian. I'm all right. Mary J. Blige, one of the greatest R&B singers to ever walk the earth. Jay-Z, one of the greatest rappers to ever live. Eddie Murphy, one of the funniest actors to ever do it. Do you know what the white man that lives next door to me does for a living? He's a f***ing dentist. He ain't the best dentist in the world. He ain't going to the Dental Hall of Fame. He don't get plaques for getting rid of plaques. He's just a yank your tooth out dentist. See, the Black man gotta fly to get something that the white man can walk to. That's right, baby. Shit, I had to make miracles happen to get that house. I had to host the Oscars to get that house.
This is the reality of the system, and in the system, the people or the organizations will be reluctant to any standard of inclusion. The concept isn't a difficult one. We all have implicit racial biases. Normally it tends towards the people who look like us, but on occasion it doesn't. The only way that bias can be combated is with a standard, and we know standards for the most part work. We know that without a standard, businesses will hire a child, work its workers to death, or not pay a worker a fair wage. We know that because that's how they used to do things prior to that standard. When that standard came out, it said, hey, you can't hire kids. You got to give your workers a break, and you have to pay them at least this amount. We'll call it, a minimum wage. Before that standard came out, none of that was happening. If she was able to see clearly, she could see that a standard of inclusion doesn't mean it isn't earned. It means people who are qualified and wouldn't normally be considered now must be considered. It's a way to acknowledge the inherent injustice built into the system. But Candace Owens is cynical of Black actors. Her cynicism doesn't come from a desire for great cinema. Her cynicism comes from her deranged belief in white supremacy, and one of their tried and not true talking points, this one being Black people getting something they haven't earned. There's a time when talented Black athletes weren't allowed to compete in the all-white leagues. There were people who were cynical then too, not believing these Black athletes were deserving of the league. We all know how that ended up.